Okay, imagine this. If your bank balance literally hits zero today, how long could you actually survive without working? Seriously, I want you to just think about that for a second. I know, it's a pretty jarring question, right? But it's exactly the kind of question Warren Buffett wants us to ask ourselves, to just totally jolt us out of our financial comfort zones.
And the reality check here? It's rough. Most people wouldn't even last 30 days. And honestly, that is the absolute biggest problem we are facing today. Look, you might have made a fantastic income last year, but the real question isn't what you earn, it's what you keep. If your checking account just empties out days after your paycheck hits, replaced by the stress of EMIs, credit card bills, personal loans, then you're basically playing the money game completely blindfolded.
So, welcome to The Explainer. I am super thrilled to have you here with us because today we are unpacking the Buffett Blueprint, Mastering the 15% Rule. We're going to explore Warren Buffett's foundational framework for escaping that middle-class debt trap and really building a system where your money is finally working for you.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap to financial freedom today. We'll hit the middle-class debt trap, then the 15% wealth rule, take control and build safety, escape lifestyle inflation, and finally, wrap up with patience and multiple incomes.
Starting right off with Section 1, the middle-class debt trap, basically escaping the illusion.
You see, there's this massive, glaring contrast between the wealth we project to the world and the reality we actually live. Warren Buffett always points out that the biggest risk is lying to yourself. And man, so many people are just living in this fake comfort zone. Take Prema Prakash from our source material. The guy had a modest salary, about $25,000, but he was completely obsessed with looking rich on social media, buying the absolute latest gadgets on EMIs, constantly dining out. On the outside, looked like the perfect life. But the financial reality? Almost $20,000 of that $25,000 salary was instantly swallowed up by loan repayments every single month. By the time he finally faced the music, his savings were at zero and he was buried under a massive debt of 5 to 6 lakhs.
Prem's story is literally the perfect example of the frog in boiling water effect. You know the metaphor, right? If you drop a frog in boiling water, it jumps right out. But if you put it in cold water and just slowly turn up the heat, it boils to death without ever realizing it's in danger. That is exactly how debt works. The sources share another totally chilling story about a Mr. Silid back in 2008. He had a great job, but he just slowly racked up such massive debt that he had to hide it from his own family, living under this crushing psychological pressure. Debt just slowly suffocates you while you keep looking in the mirror telling yourself, oh, everything is fine.
All right, let's pivot to the solution. Section 2, the 15% wealth rule, paying yourself first.
So before you can build any real wealth, you have to break those chains of debt. And a great way to do this is Dave Ramsey's snowball method. The trick here is you don't tackle the biggest monster first. You actually tackle the smallest one. Step 1, clear that $10,000 loan from your friend. Step 2, attack the 1 lakh phone EMI. Step 3, finally you take down the 5 lakh car loan. Why do it this way? Because knocking out that tiny loan first gives you a massive psychological win. It builds that momentum and the exact confidence you need to just aggressively destroy the rest of your debt.
And once you actually clear that debt, you are finally ready to plant your tree. As Warren Buffett famously said, someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. The decisions you're making right now, that's the shade you are going to rest in tomorrow.
So the absolutely crucial point here is this specific number, 15%. This is the core rule. Once you are debt-free, you must, and I mean automatically, invest at least 15% of your income every single month. If you lock that into a systematic investment plan, an SIP, in index funds getting average market returns, and then just gradually bump it up as your income grows, pure magic happens. Over 15 to 17 years, that seemingly small monthly chunk compounds into a massive corpus. Your money is finally out there working for you, instead of you sweating to work for a bank.
Moving on to Section 3, take control and build safety. Let's talk about protecting your wealth.
Buffett has this great warning. Never invest in something you don't understand. Because the minute you start saving money, trust me, people are going to come out of the woodwork offering you shortcuts. Do not surrender your control. The sources highlight this super tragic story of 52-year-old Arshi Majumdar. Back in 2013, he blindly trusted a chit fund scheme without actually understanding the mechanics of it. He put in his own money, convinced his friends to join, and they pulled together 5 lakhs. Well, it turned out to be a massive scam. Arshi didn't just lose his money, which is bad enough. He lost his relationships and ended up in crippling debt just trying to pay those people back. Your financial education is literally your greatest asset. You have got to hold the keys to your own financial life.
And on top of that, you absolutely need a safety net. Why? Because Murphy's Law guarantees that whatever can go wrong definitely will go wrong. Buffett advises, do not test the depth of the river with both feet. Take Anand, a 30-year-old IT professional mentioned in our sources. Guy had a great salary, a bit of cash sitting around, but zero insurance and no real emergency fund. Out of nowhere, he gets into a severe accident. Suddenly, he's paying crazy medical bills, car damages, and then, shortly after, he lost his job. 3 massive hits: health, finances, and income, all at the exact same time. His entire financial system completely crashed simply because he tested the river with both feet.
So how do you protect yourself? With a solid 6 to 12-month emergency fund. And the ideal allocation for this looks like 50% in fixed deposits, 30% in liquid funds, and 20% in just a standard savings account. The goal here is absolutely not chasing high returns. The goal is extreme liquidity and absolute peace of mind. Think of this as your financial armor.
Which brings us to Section 4, Escape Lifestyle Inflation, the silent wealth killer.
And this brilliantly illustrates the trap. Let's look at Rohit's financial journey. His salary took a massive jump, going from $25,000 all the way up to $80,000. You'd think, wow, he's wealthy now, right? Wrong. The exact moment his income increased, his expenses just skyrocketed. He upgraded his phone, started buying branded clothes, ate out constantly, and of course, took out a shiny new car EMI. So his income more than tripled, but his actual wealth and savings, they stayed at exactly zero. He walked right into the trap of lifestyle inflation.
Look, you simply cannot out-earn bad spending habits. Buffett warns us, if you buy things you do not need, soon you will have to sell things you need. The golden rule here is all about sequence. You must invest your 15% first and only live on what is actually left over. The wealthy invest first, spend the rest. The middle class, they spend first and try to invest what's left, which, let's be real, is usually nothing.
Okay, finally, Section 5, Patience and Multiple Incomes. Time to seal your fortress.
The biggest barrier to wealth, honestly, isn't the stock market. It's our own emotions. Look at Amit's timeline here. He started out perfectly, putting $5,000 into an SIP, but then the market dropped. Instead of seeing it like a giant discount sale, Amit totally panicked and sold his investments at a loss. Naturally, as it always does, the market eventually recovered and boomed. But Amit, he missed the entire upward trajectory because he let short-term fear totally destroy his long-term strategy.
This quote right here is a foundational truth. The stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. When the market dips, that isn't a crisis. That is your opportunity to buy more units at a lower price. And those units compound beautifully when the market eventually rises. Extreme patience and just blind consistency with that 15%, that's the secret sauce to massive wealth.
But hey, even with investments, you can't rely on just one source of cash. Our sources tell us about Neha. She relied entirely on her single $60,000 a month corporate job. When corporate downsizing hit, she lost everything overnight and her savings just vanished. Now, compare that to her friend, who had a day job but also actively built up freelance gigs in a small online business. When turbulence hits, the person with multiple streams of income doesn't just survive, they thrive. Relying on a single income stream in today's crazy world is a massive, massive risk.
So you need to build your own income network, and it doesn't have to be some massive corporate empire. It could literally be freelancing the skills you already have, content creation, launching a tiny online business, or even passive streams like dividend stocks and rental income. You just start small, weaving one thread at a time until you have a scalable financial system that isn't dependent on a single boss or a single company.
All right, so we've covered a lot. The reality of the debt trap, the absolute power of the 15% rule, the necessity of a safety net, avoiding lifestyle inflation, and the crucial need for patience and multiple incomes. But listen, knowledge without action is just entertainment. So I am leaving you with this one question. What is the very first step you will take today to escape the trap? Grab a pen, face your financial reality, and start building your blueprint right now. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will see you in the next one.